Shanahan holds the press conference, dude. Did you, when you're watching that, first of all, he's very poetic. He's very...
poetic.
What is he? What's the word I'm looking for?
He sounds stoic. Like
stoic.
He's not.
But he has that look of like he's like an English professor or something, you know?
Yeah, okay.
Actually, he's an English professor in the same department that Kyle Dubas is an English professor. They both look like English professors.
Yeah, well, one's
very nice,
tough guy, and
very
one's not.
nice glasses. Both of them
looks good.
Wear their glasses.
Looks good still.
Man, this whole I don't even know where to start in terms of breaking this one down. There's so many different directions to go in. And I always wonder, man, are people falling on like Team Dubas or Team Shanahan? I feel like initially, because Dubas came out and, you know, played the family card and did all that and got a lot of sympathy because of that. Oh. Even though a lot of people were critical of what he said. Like, you know what you're signing up for.
No shit. We've all taken a beating with that.
And, you know, so maybe he and his camp felt like they had some leverage after doing that we can go back and now ask for additional years, additional money. But, like, I think the focus is, like, too much about the money. And I think this is mostly, it's about the money, but I think it's about the power inside the hockey department. Who has the final say? Who has the most power? And whenever you have this type of disagreement, man, and you have a guy who's a president with a GM working under him, if you look around the league, Cam, I mean, typically this is not always a guaranteed recipe for success when you have this type of, hockey operation hierarchy, when you have a president with a GM working underneath him. It doesn't always work. It's not for everybody. But in this case, you've got Kyle Dubas probably and his department probably saying, hey, we want to be able to make some of these decisions. Like, listen, even if you're a president and you're going to hire a GM, in my opinion, Cam, you got to let your GM run the show. You got to let him run the show.
Either be successful or fail.
You can't have one guy wanting to do something, and that's his job, to make the team better, and somebody else stepping in and not allowing that to happen. And the Maple Leafs are corporate, man. This is not like a private-owned, NHL organization like you see with a lot of other teams. I mean, they're like a corporation. Yeah. So, how they have their whole, hierarchy, is it's different than most makeups around the league. But when you look at Kyle Dubas, you look at Shanahan. Shanahan's got a couple years left in the contract. He's asking for a long-term deal and for the power. And if you're MLSE and you're thinking about that, you're probably like, okay, why do we need Brendan Shanahan if we have this other guy making all this money and he's making all the decisions? So I think in a way, Brendan Shanahan was probably protecting himself too.
Maybe.
Hey, I'm not going to give you full power and a long-term deal.
Then what's
and what are you doing anyway? We already pretty much had an agreement. Now you're coming back at me. You just went on television saying you weren't sure if you wanted to be the GM.
Yes.
Dude,
turn off.
It was just, listen, at the end of the day, Cam, I think this points towards the speculation that's been out there about the dysfunction and the relationship these two had together.
Yeah, I could see that.
You know what I mean? You can just tell they weren't on the same page. They're not close. Shanahan brought Kyle Dubas on board. I gave him an opportunity, believed in him, and listen, he was so young. People were critical of that at the time because he was like in his late 20s. Brought him on board, took him under his wing, gave him an opportunity of a lifetime. And now, things have just kind of fallen apart. So I think, in reality, the relationship had gotten to a point, even though Shanahan went to bat and offered him a contract extension, I think it had gotten to a point where it was probably a little more fractured than people realize.
Yeah, you're probably right, man. And he's probably going to get another job. I mean, there's other teams kind of floating around, rumors and whatnot. But no, you're right, man. If I'm a GM, I don't want to have to ask every time I make a decision, or I got to be like, is this cool if we do this? Right. Just like when Lou Lamoriello used to kind of coach too, like decide who's going to be in the lineup that day. You can't, that's hard to manage.
Well, general managers, listen, they got to let their coaches coach too, right?
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
And I've heard some get pissed.
Oh, yeah. That. And just like, and listen, let's be honest, the players in Toronto, from what I understand, Cam, they absolutely love Kyle Dubas.
They love him?
Oh, they love him. Like he's
probably because they're not intimidated by him.
Correct. And he's one of the boys. He makes them their boy. Like he gives them probably whatever they want. To be honest with you, they're coming to him asking for, hey, we need a day off here and there. He's probably cool with a lot of that. He's very family oriented.
Yeah, but is he making that decision for a day off, the GM?
I'm just using that as an example. Of all the things that I said, don't focus on that. I don't know.
Well, I'm just saying because maybe that's how close they are.
I'm just saying they're tight, dude.
Yeah, I get it.
The players, they like Kyle Dubas. So
Yeah, but sometimes like
that's not always a great thing.
no, if I'm a GM, I don't want my player. I want them to respect me.
Yeah.
I want to be intimidating.
I know.
I want to walk in there and be like, no, I'm in control here. Like he did. I could see that. I could see some of the younger guys, older guys. Like he walks in the room, I'm not like, oh fuck, I need to be buttoned up.
No.
You know, Army walks in, Lou walks in, I'm like, fuck. All right, what we got? Where's my stick? Is my stick tape right? I mean,
right.
You're just always on.
Are you focused?
On the ball? You're always on the ball. You know. So
yeah, it's
who
different,
knows,
man.
Look, whatever with them, whatever with Toronto. I'm just saying, they get so much attention, so much hype, and they just
it's a little much, man. I mean, this is listen. I know it's the hockey mecca, but I mean, for a team that hasn't done anything, like the entire hockey world just stops and is like full on like locked into what's going on with the Maple Leafs. I'm guilty of it too, man. Like I'm paying attention to it. I mean, you typically don't get anything out of any of those guys in Toronto, and for him to give like this detailed, description of what went down between he and Kyle. But
he got in detail, and he's like, okay, he's like throwing out like times and dates, and then an email, Friday 5:39, August. This is what happened.
Oh yeah,
wow,
dude. But see, it's interesting because getting back to their relationship, like they're talking. He's like, at 9:30, I received an email from Kyle Dubas. Like, don't these guys like know it? Can't he pick up the phone? Like, I remember when Mike Babcock was going through his situation in Detroit, and Kenny Holland was like driving to his house, and they were meeting together, and they were like shooting the shit, probably having a cigar and a glass of wine.
That's how you do it.
You know what I mean? These guys are like, I'm gonna email you.
I know.
Talk to my agent.
I'm gonna tweet at you. Check your DMs. I'm gonna
talk to my agent.
No, man, you gotta go talk eye to eye, man. And I know. Look. Sometimes you got to kick it to your agent. You're paying them money. If you don't want to deal with the contract negotiation and you need to work during the season, I get all that. But once push comes to shove and it's already kind of fucking tearing apart a little bit, go and sit down and talk to each other and have a beer. Yeah. That's how you do it.
But we do treat Kyle Dubas like he's like the most, like this Hall of Fame general manager. Yeah. Like, it's like way too much. You know what I mean? Yeah. And now he's sitting without a job, Cam, because he played his cards complete. His agent, whoever gave him that advice, was just, and again, you're dealing with a corporation here and whatever, but he had a 5-year deal on the table. That's the word. Somewhere like 4 or 5 years on the table.
So is this team going to fall apart? Like, what's going to happen in your opinion?
Toronto?
Yeah, what are they going to do?
Well, they've got a lot of good players, but you know what? The morale is not good. I know they can all come out and say this or that. You know, the whole Austin Matthews things will be interesting because I believe Kyle Dubas, his agent, works under Austin Matthews' agent.
Oh, yeah? Oh, God.
So, in terms of, maybe that would have helped Matthews get what he wants out of Toronto. They got to make a decision there. This is terrible timing. Oh. With everything they have to decide. I mean, the draft just being a month away.
Yeah.
And July 1st, obviously, when they can get a deal done with Austin Matthews, because they got to know, man. They got to know what's going to happen. Would you pay him $15 million?
God, I don't know. What's Matty Tkachuk make?
9.5.
9.5. So he's not over 10.
No.
The only guy on 10 with Florida is Bobrovsky. But Bob, he's right at 10.
Yep.
Nobody more than that.
Nope.
I don't know, man. 15 schmil a year. Fuck that.
You got to look up what Barkov is at. Look that up.
I don't know if he's over 10.
Yeah,
there's not too many.
No, there's not. Eichel, I think, is the other guy who's making 10 that's currently playing right now.
Yeah.
So who? Sasha Barkov. So he's at 10 too.
Okay. The cap's going up and all that stuff too, but 15 million. I guess so.
I wouldn't pay him 15.
I mean,
listen, when Nathan McKinnon redid his deal, it was important for him to be the highest paid player, and he should have been. It was his turn to get his deal done.
Yeah.
So you just, whether it's $1 or $100,000, whatever. I mean, do you really need to go, $2-3 million north of what the highest contract is right now? If you can get it, you can get it. But I would think that Austin Matthews, if he's going to sign there, he also wants to know who else is going to be there.
Of course.
And he wants some assurance probably that his boy Mitchie Marnie, that he's going to be there. You would think that he'd want to know, he's not going to sign, and what's he going to do? Another 3-year deal, a 5-year deal? Is Toronto going to be comfortable just paying him another short-term deal?
Yeah, I don't know.
and having to do this all over again, or would they want to lock him up? And it's not going to be an easy contract, we all know, to get done. And we're assuming that he truly even wants to stay there. That
he might have had enough.
And based on what he's going to hear from the organization, who knows what decision he's going to make. And Kyle Dubas isn't there. Like, who's he negotiating with? Is it going to be Brandon Pridham, who's the guy who's there right now, who's taking on those responsibilities, or are they bringing somebody else in? This whole Doug Armstrong thing is really interesting, Cam.
I keep seeing that pop up everywhere.
It's popping up like everywhere, and from the very beginning. I mean, the first report that I saw of anybody discussing what Toronto's next steps are, they were like, one person of interest will be Doug Armstrong. I'm like, whoa. I mean, to really throw that out there.
Yeah.
Like,
without talking to anybody?
Well, I mean, you would assume that, like, okay, well, did they talk to Army? They talk to the team, whatever. I mean, you're just throwing that out there, man. This guy's under contract. And then there's been speculation and talk about, him having an out clause in his contract, which, source close to the Blues, who obviously would know, says that is completely false. He does not have an out clause. And I want to make this clear, though. I don't even think Doug Armstrong is really all that interested in doing that. First off, he would never work under Brendan Shanahan. I would say that. And it's not a knock on Brendan. I'm just saying Doug Armstrong isn't going to work under anybody.
He's not going to, yeah.
He's been running his own organization. Exactly. He's more than capable. He's proven that. So I don't blame him there. He's not going to. So they would have to restructure things from that standpoint, number one. The Blues would have to give him permission, number two. And Doug Armstrong would truly would have to want to do that. I mean, this is my opinion, Kim. I look at when you take over a team as a GM, like, you got to be thinking long term. This is not a 3-year process. It's not really even a 5-year process. I mean, to me, it's almost like a 10-year process. Yeah. How you're going to set up your organization for long-term success. Is that something Doug Armstrong would even want to do, man? At 58 years of age, like, he's set up pretty good.